What are the 5 best exotic bows in Destiny 2? Well, let me tell you. Before I get started, please do like this video and subscribe to my channel for more Destiny 2 content. But enough of that, let's get going. In 5th is Tuus Divination. This is a really fun bow to use that puts out a decent amount of damage, especially in PvE, but also it's got its place in PvP as well. What makes this bow truly unique and dangerous is the combination of its intrinsic trait Sacred Flame paired with the trait Causality Arrows. When you hip fire with this bow, you fire multiple tracking arrows. Targets hit by these arrows explode upon death, or when struck by another Sacred Flame explosion. To speed the process along comes the trait Causality Arrows. Arrows fired while aiming down the sights cause Sacred Flames to instantly detonate with precision hits, with perfectly drawn arrows increase the damage caused. This all stacks up to cause some pretty hefty damage and easily sorts out those waves of enemies trying to flood you. Honestly, for an exotic bow you can pick up from the tower, it's an absolute beast and so much fun to use. Take it into PvP and you'll also have some fun, especially if you're not so good with your shots. The first hip fire tracks and finds the enemy for you, and all you gotta do is hit your second shot to do some serious damage to that Guardian and the teammates around him. In at number 4 is the Monarch. Now, I know what you're thinking, how can this be at number 4 and not higher? Simply put, there's just some better bows out there, but don't get me wrong, the Monarch is an absolute beast. Again, this is an exotic bow you can pick up from the tower, and I'd highly suggest doing so, it's worth every penny. You'll normally come across this bow in PvP as it truly excels against other Guardians, but it's also a very viable and reliable pick in PvE, especially when paired with an Invisibility Hunter for extra survivability, especially against Overload champions when soloing things like Legendary Lost Sectors. Poison Arrow is the bow's intrinsic trait, and it does exactly what it sounds like. Arrows fired quickly after a full draw become poison arrows. Precision hits with these poison arrows stun the enemy and spread poison to nearby ones. Again, it's really strong for solo content, and especially strong against Overload champions as it stuns them and continues to do damage. It performs really well in mob clear too, as the spreading of the poison eats away at the weaker enemies, causing them to fall quickly. Now the Catalyst adds an extra layer of survivability, as rapidly defeating targets triggers health regen, which is always nice. The ability to stun and poison enemies and regen your own health is what also makes this bow brilliant in PvP, and I'm sure you'll have your enemies frantically typing their frustration to you in no time. In at number 3 sits the Mega Bow, Leviathan's Breath. This bow is different from most in a number of ways, not least the fact it actually takes heavy ammo to use, but have you seen the size of the bolt? Definitely warrants heavy ammo. The intrinsic trait for this bow is wonderfully named Big Game Hunter. It fires a massive heavy bolt that stuns unshielded enemies and is particularly strong against unstoppable champions. Paired with the trait Leviathan Sigh, when the fully drawn bolt is released, it also creates a large concussive blast that knocks enemies back. So as the trait name suggests, this is a bow for the big occasion, for the big guy you just need to stop for a second. Using this bow will see you both stun and knock back enemies of all shapes and sizes, and its catalyst helps you to do this quicker by decreasing the draw time after every precision hit, as well as increasing the amount of ammo you can carry. Controversially sitting in at number 2 is Wishender. I know, how can this not be number 1? I hear you screaming at your screens. Well, it can be, but for me, there's another bow I like to use more than anything else, which just beats this beautiful weapon to the top spot. But onto Wishender, not only does this bow look sleek, understated, and downright beautiful, it bites hard too. This is the go-to bow you use when you want to do great single target damage against big enemies. The intrinsic trait Queen's Wrath means that while aiming down the sights as the bow is fully drawn, enemies behind walls become highlighted and arrows pierce shields, very strong against barrier champions. The first part of this trait is what has made this bow so popular in PvP. The ability to see and track your enemies behind walls means you can land the perfect headshots as soon as they spring their ambush on you. It's a great feeling and one that is never appreciated by your enemy. The ability to pierce shields is what makes Wishender the go-to bow for high-end content. Well, that and the sheer amount of damage it puts out. And the added bonus of the trait Broadhead means this bow is not just for single targets, but also does pretty well against grouped up enemies, as arrows now over-penetrate and they pass through to hit the unlucky souls standing behind them. It doesn't have a catalyst, but let's face it, it doesn't need one. And here we are, in at number 1, and in my opinion, the best exotic bow in Destiny 2, it's Trinity Ghoul. I love this bow for so many reasons. The intrinsic trait is called Split Electron and means the bow fires an arrow that splits when released. Aim down the sights and fully draw the bow to decrease that spread. This means the bow is great at both long and short range. An enemy getting too close? No need to whip out another weapon. Just fire your split arrows and they'll soon drop. Where this bow really comes into its power is with the trait Lightning Rod. Precision kills grant the next shot chain lightning. This means you get a precision kill and the next shot will fire chain lightning, sorting out entire groups of enemies in one go. Now that's good in itself, but once you get your hands on the catalyst, you're really flying. Lightning Rod now triggers from any arc damage final blow. That is insane. So all you need to do is get a kill with any form of arc damage and you'll have Lightning Rod up and ready to go. This includes arc grenades, arc supers and even hipfire kills with Trinity Ghoul. As long as you're putting out arc damage, you're going to have Lightning Rod continuously wrecking enemies. This is the most effective mob control you will see from any bow and even most weapons. And as an added bonus, you're putting out all that damage without using any special or heavy ammo, saving it for when you need it the most. So there you have it, the top 5 best exotic bows in Destiny 2. Bows are insanely good weapons in both PvE and PvP, and matching the vast majority of them with Oathkeeper gauntlets means you're also charged and ready to go without having to worry about timing the draw perfectly. So thank you for watching, and until next time, take it easy and have fun out there.